welcome to my channel. If you're new, I am As. Today, in this video, I'm going to talk about decks I'm struggling to bond with. I'm not exactly sure about the title for this video. I guess it could be like decks I struggle to bond with or decks I'm not reaching for. Many of these decks, let me tell you, are beautiful, so I chose them because I really like the art or the aesthetic. But for some reason, I'm not reaching for them, and I prefer now to work with other decks. Some of them, are recent, some of them are not. I'll just, specify for each one of these what is the situation, what is the issue with the deck. There is no specific order, but there are like categories. And since I was saying many of these decks I actually like, maybe a title for this video could be also like beautiful but I don't reach for you, or like beautiful but distant, or like it may be just a subheading or something like this, because many of these are beautiful but for some reason I just don't feel called to use them. And I am preferring, other decks that are also, some of them very recent. If you have seen my top 11 current favorites, many of the decks I'm using are in that list. And this would be like the opposite. So I don't know how many decks actually I'm going to show. Maybe it's more or less the same, like 10 or 11 or 12. Yes. So there is an equal amount of decks I'm not actually feel called to use. This doesn't mean I won't be called to use them in the future, but let's dive into it. I know, first deck in this list, in no specific order, is the Lillifer Tarot. I know this is a favorite, a huge favorite for many of you probably watching. So I know, but I bought this secondhand and this is very recent in my collection. This may be number one reason why I still haven't bonded with this one. It's because it's very recent. It may be just a matter of time. I quite like the guidebook. I also like the idea of not having full sentences or full explanation for each card like a discursive one, but just some keywords so you can connect the dots on your own. I really like that idea. I read the introduction for this. There is also a lot of information here. I think this is an interesting little white book. So this is a point in favor, Maybe I am assigning scores to these decks and I didn't mean to do it, but maybe I'm doing it. I see where I'm going. So the Lillifer Tarot, I didn't feel called, I have to say the truth, to the artwork, basically since this deck was released. Not because I have something against the creator. I also own the Reclaim Oracle that is actually here. This is from the same creator. I quite enjoy this one, especially for the concept. I can find a use for this one. But you have to know that each deck in my collection, I like each deck to have a purpose. And still, I haven't found a purpose for this one. It may be just a matter of time. It may be just a matter of, trying to using it more. Maybe I have to make an effort. I got this one not a long time ago. I'm currently working and I intend to work with other decks already. There is like a waiting list, of decks that I don't want to say they are waiting to work with me. Maybe it's the other way around. Like I'm waiting to work with those ones first. And this one is a little bit now, let's say, not on the top of my priorities. I can see why many people like this deck. I think the art is lovely. And I also very like the colors. I was not drawn to these strange figures in the first place, but I saw this one being sold, secondhand, and I decided to give it a shot. Now, one of my issues, I have read with it, by the way, I have interviewed the deck. I have done just one or two readings with it. It was also very spot on. It called me out. This is one of the reasons why maybe we didn't have a great start, but I can see that it can work, I just have to find a way to work with it. For how it read for me, when I first tried it, it is not a deck that, it's not a soft deck. I don't know. It called me out immediately, One of the issues for me is the cardstock. So I quite like the size. I don't really like, as you can see, I also struggle like to pick up a single card because they are sticky. I don't know if you have this deck and if you solved this problem in some way. Maybe the deck is sad now because, yeah, I'm not one to say anything against you, you know, but I also struggle a little bit to like separate the cards. And when I did the first readings, one of the issues was, it looks so pretty on camera, by the way. One of the issues was the cards tended to like fall out of the deck together, like when you have jumping cards and I had like multiple cards like falling out at the same time because they stick together. This is an issue currently, and it's something that holds me back from reaching out to this one. It's just because I know that I'm going to have this issue. So this is the Lilifert Tarot, a deck that I got a few weeks ago. It's so recent. I may put this one on my waiting list. A list of decks, you know, I intend to work with and explore more. I think maybe this is just waiting for his time to come. This is not going anywhere for now, but yes, it's in this video, you know, because I'm having an issue with it. Next one for the series, It's Time I Come, is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. This is another one that is very recent, so maybe there is an order in this video. Like, I'm now showing very recent decks in my collection. So this is one I got maybe 1 or 2 months ago, maybe in January. Yes, so it's been a while already, you know, not too much, but it's been a while. I know this is a very beloved deck, and so like bear with me, I'm not saying anything against this one. I'm just sharing my current, you know, journey and the decks I am bonding with more easily and those I am not. I haven't really delved into the guidebook, and when I study a deck, normally it's something I do even if I know tarot. I've been reading tarot for many years now, and I read a guidebook not just to learn about tarot, but in particular, read the guidebook for, you know, learning about the deck. So I haven't read it. And this is something that I know I might have to do if I want to bond with this deck. So I haven't done it, and this may be part of the issue. This deck is also still in order. Every time I show it, is in the exact same order because I haven't even shuffled this deck. First thing I have to say, when it came, I felt like this deck is the second edition, you know, was quite precious. Like, I got it secondhand because this is no longer in print, and also the third edition, I think, is now out of print. So sorry if I'm showing this, but you can still find it if you like it secondhand, you know. And I got it because I know that the second edition is not impossible to find, but it may be now quite rare. So you can still find it on eBay maybe, or Vinted, you know, those online platforms where you can find things secondhand, and also tarot decks. I didn't even interview the deck, so this is also part of my bonding experience with the deck. Normally I interview the deck when it comes, and so I can spot the energies around it and understand how the deck wants to work with me. I know it seems strange, but if you are into tarot, I think we have an understanding. So interviewing the deck is part of my bonding experience. I haven't interviewed this one, and so this may be another issue that is mine actually, and not of the deck itself. I love the colors. I think this deck actually may have a season, and this may be part of the reason why I'm not working with it now. The third edition is different, but this second edition has these beautiful floral backs, and I thought when I bought it, this was a spring deck. It has actually it's like a sadder feel to it. So it may be like the sadder part of spring. I don't know, it can be like, it is a shadowy deck. I love this star card. Many people love this deck, and I can totally see that I may love it too. Every time I look at it, I find it beautiful. So my issue with these decks is not actually that I don't like them or I don't find them beautiful because I bought them, right? So, but it just means that despite how beautiful they are, There are other decks now, equally beautiful, but very different, that I prefer to reach out for at the moment. This is telling me something, I think, about what I need at the moment. This is not my definitive judgment about this deck. I don't know, film a video, some weeks or maybe months or maybe days from now and say this is actually now in my current favorites, because I can totally see it can be. I may just need to do some more intentional work with this deck. So this is a deck that may just need more time, and I may just need to do some more intentional work to explore it. Talking about beautiful art-based decks I don't reach for. The Venus Morning Star. I know I want to do some intentional work with this one too. This one I got at the end of last year, and I did some readings with it. So I'm not saying I haven't used this deck at all. What I have done lately, I was wondering why I am so drawn to the other actually deck by, and I think the name of the creator is actually Natasha from, I will correct the name here if it's not correct, I'm loving a lot the Tarot of Aphrodite right now. It's in my top 11 current favorites. I was wondering for this reason why I haven't bonded with the Venus Morning Star so quickly, because I bonded so quickly with the Tarot of Aphrodite. I took the deck out and I started looking at the images to try to understand, if there was maybe an issue, not an issue of the deck, but if there was something that for me resonated differently when I compared this one to the Tarot of Aphrodite. I love the art in the Tarot of Aphrodite, and I actually found out, you can see I have selected some cards. So there are some cards in this deck. Many of these cards I love. Most of the deck, these are the cards I totally love. And I think they are also quite cohesive. So the choice for the art, there are many, many paintings I love and I know. And I think the choice for the paintings, for the art here is quite cohesive. There is this soft, quite elegant coloring, and the lines are not too defined or strong or bold. The figures are fading maybe into the background a little bit. So it's not too bold, it's not too defined. It has a softness. But I have found out, and actually this King of, Pentacles, the issue is not with the art. I think here the issue is both with the association and also with the art that has been selected, that for me has a little bit of a different feel compared to these cards. Like this card, as I was saying, this art has a softness, while I find out that either the problem is how the art is associated to the card. For me, this is not a King of Pentacles to me. This looks like a little bit drunk. I don't know. And the King of Pentacles is grounded for me, so I don't know, this doesn't resonate with me, but it's just me, so everything I'm saying is so personal here. You may agree or disagree, and please let me know also in the comment what you think. This Emperor, for example, the art is beautiful, but compared to the softness and how some of these images, let's see if I can find a card, sorry, like, these lines to me look far more defined, but let's see if I can find. Here the issue, for example, is that this is a 4 of Wands and I see 3 figures. Same here, I may love this 7 of Cups. I can get, the fantasy idea. It's not too bad. I could work with it. I think, yes, when I say there is a difference in the art style, for me these two art styles are not the same, and this is something that bothers me. I may be picky, I know I am, and I'm actually filming this video to say also, to investigate also what is my issue with the deck. So it's not an issue, the creator has or the art has. So it's just how I perceive things, and what are the issues for me. Again, I love this art, so Well, let's move on. And I may keep this just to make examples, but let's keep another card. And this is the King of Wands. Again, there is a softness here to this image, while these lines to me look more defined, and also I don't want to say the technique because I don't really know, but this art is not cohesive for me. The Tarot of Aphrodite has far more cohesive art. I just don't love this Three of Swords card. I don't know, there is something strange in the face of this woman. Same here, I can get the idea for the Hermit. I just don't love the expression and the eyes. I really love the, how the figure is illuminated though. So finding this revelation within, I can totally get it. Here is one of the most, I think, clear examples of what I want to say. This is the Knight of Wands, and look at how different the art is. For me, it's just not cohesive. Many of these cards, and now I will just show quickly, have a little bit of the same issue for me. Three of Wands, I don't know, this doesn't really give me the idea of Three of Wands. This is Ten of Wands, I can totally get the idea. I love the color. I just think this art, the artwork just is not, it's not like the same, I don't want to say the same style, but maybe, yeah, it's not. Same for this Three of Pentacles, same for this Six of Wands. So it's curious that all these cards seem more cohesive when put together, but I think they are different from the rest. I have nothing against the artist who painted this. This is a gorgeous King of Cups. I can get the idea. It seems in control, so he is in control of the water and his emotions. I can get it. It's a wonderful King of Cups. But again, the artwork, and also this one, this is the figure on the box. I don't know, it's not really what you find in this deck, so I would have preferred maybe something like this. I also love more this type of colors. I don't know, so I love this card. This will be a gorgeous card, for example, for me to have also on the box. I may keep the deck one day, I think. If I keep having issues with it, I may just keep it for this card. I know it's not right, but I love this one so much. By the way, if I have to choose, I prefer the Queen of Wands. I don't love this Empress that much, honestly. It looks like it may come from another deck. It is just me, so I went through it and tried to understand what the issue is, why I don't reach for it. And I think this lack of, how I perceive, a lack of cohesiveness may be an issue. By the way, let's move on. This is a deck I absolutely love and find beautiful. There is no issue with this deck whatsoever. I think I love the art, so nothing to say. It is a spring deck for me. I intend to work with it. Actually, is on my desk now because I really want to do something with it. For me in spring and summer, I think I may use this deck a lot, or it is my intention. I absolutely love this deck. I have wanted it for a very long time, as I was saying, and I can totally see that it may be a spring deck. I may feature it in my spring video, actually. I was thinking about this one, and that's why it sits on my desk. I still have to prepare that video. By the way, what is the issue here? Absolutely nothing. I read the guidebook before I even got the deck because I really like it. It's almost like I already know this deck, but since I got it, again, for some reason, I haven't reached for it. It may be, again, another deck. This I love completely, so it's not a matter of the artwork. It may be just a matter of favorites. So I have other favorites currently, decks that really call my attention, and I really want to work with them. I want to journal with them, and we only have so much time, to do things. And so I love this Ten of Pentacles. I really haven't got the time to dive into this, to use the guidebook. I think this may go on my waiting list, like decks that are waiting to work with me, or the other way around. Decks I really want to work with in the near future. Absolutely, so this is so beautiful. This is mass market, actually. I think you may not always find it on Amazon. It keeps, sometimes, at least here where I live, it keeps going like out of stock, and then it's being restocked. I bought this secondhand and it was not expensive at all. There's quite a story also, because I tried to purchase this deck twice, and actually the first time I selected like a pickup point, but that specific place closed because it was summer, and I think the person who ran, the business, this place, went on vacation, and so this deck arrived and it remained locked in this, in my pickup point, because the owner was not there, and it was too late. Then when, I don't know what happened, but the person who has sent me this deck wanted me to receive a repayment, and she wanted the deck back, and so I had to just accept the repayment, and the deck was sent back, I think, when then the pickup point was open again. So I couldn't really go and pick up the deck because of this inconvenience. And so I had to repurchase this one a few months later. And if I remember correctly, I purchased this one from the same person. Yeah, so, quite a story. So, and after all these misfortunes, I think I may just need to work with this one. But I haven't reached for it since it came, basically. I did a couple of readings, and then I just started working with other decks I want to explore. But this is certainly a deck I want to, keep into consideration. This is certainly a deck, by the way, I want to work with. So it's not here because, it is not going anywhere or something. So it's just where I'm at in the moment and what I am ignoring, what I am considering. And this one now is not getting the proper attention, but I know that it will. It will. So this is the beautiful Celestial Tarot. Talking about decks that I consider beautiful but I don't reach for, this is the Wildlands Tarot. This is one I got more than 1 year ago, and I haven't read with it since. I think I have said it in one of my last videos. This deck is just beautiful. It has beautiful holographic details, and also on the cards. This also gives me a spring-summer vibe. So maybe a deck that just waits, is waiting to be used in the next seasons or in the current season. I also think this may pair very well with an oracle I intend to get, that is the Sacred Glyphs. I think they would just be perfect together. So maybe when I find an oracle to pair this one with, I may work with this more. I know what the issue with this one was. So this is a photographic deck. The creator took photographs of the places she has visited and traveled to that are connected to very specific energies. And then these places have been associated with the cards. Now, issue number 1. The deck itself is beautiful and I love it. The association between the place and the card for me is not always immediately apparent, it's not so clear. And also, and the issue specifically is that the guidebook doesn't describe the place. I mean, it just says, for example, 501's location, Japan, but I would like to know what is really going on in this picture and what is the actual place that has been photographed, and why this place is being selected for the card, and why this place has specific energy that the creator thought it would be, something worth putting into a tarot deck, for that specific card. The lack of explanation is an issue for me, and I can just think otherwise that the association is a little bit random, but I know that it's not. Probably it has been well thought, and this is a case where I can see that the aesthetic of a deck, the beauty of a deck, is just not enough for me to say I reach for it, I want to use it, because this deck has a very specific concept behind it, and I would have liked to know about it more so I could connect with it. So part of the issue why I haven't connected with this one, despite liking it a lot aesthetically, is the lack of explanation. I just love this photograph, and the holograph details, so on the cards, I know that are meant to stimulate intuition, because this holograph foiling is said to stimulate like the pineal gland that is associated with intuition. By the way, this is not going anywhere. I was trying to sell it not a long time ago, and I wasn't successful. So normally I take that as a sign either that I have to wait a little bit more, but also since I was so unsure also about rehoming this one, that maybe I just need to give it another shot. So this is a situation where I really love the deck. I really like the images. I just don't reach for it for the issues that I have said, and I haven't really bonded with it, if you know what I mean when I say bonded. So we all know what it means to feel a bond with the deck, right? Another issue also, now it depends more on me, you know, is that as soon as I got this one last year, then I had to move. I couldn't really reach for it because many of my decks were out of reach after the move. So this may be another issue too. And then I got other decks, and then life got in the middle, and so I forgot a little bit about this one. So this is the Wildlands Tarot. Another deck that I know is only waiting for a reason and a season too is the Cosmic Pearl Oracle. This one I really love, I really like. Again, beautiful holograph details, so very similar to the Wildlands. There may be an order actually in this video, and I'm not even aware of it. So this deck is just beautiful. I featured this one in my loveliest deck, I think, for St. Valentine. This would pair so well with the Lacrimosa Tarot, with the Venus Morning Star, with the Tarot of Aphrodite, and with many other decks that are art-based. I know this one is just waiting for its time. I know it's a very beloved deck also in the community. I see it being featured more and more also in YouTube videos. I love this deck. I love the art. I did some readings with it. I think there were just maybe single card pulls, or I don't remember if I used it in conjunction with other decks, but I know that maybe also with the Lacrimosa Tarot, I can see how this may provide a little bit of light, while the Lacrimosa is a little bit more on the, it's very dark, not a little bit, on the dark side. What I'm lacking at the moment is a purpose, and maybe also the motivation to pick this up, because talking about shells, you know, I'm enjoying so much this Seashell Oracle. Is a deck I'm featuring a lot. It's in my top 11 favorites. It's in many of my videos. And so talking about soft and, you know, feminine energy, pearls and shells, I prefer that one. And I'm doing a very intentional work with the Seashell Oracle. I'm using it every day for daily pulls. I'm also journaling with that one, and I will show you also what I'm doing. And I know that once maybe I have worked with all the cards in the Seashell Oracle, that is something I'm doing very intentionally. I want to work with every single card. I may pick this up, you know, because I don't want to say they have a similar energy. There are far more figures here, feminine figures, but both have this soft Venusian vibe. This is also a deck I may use for my, again, intentional Venus work, Venus deep dive that I intend to do during Taurus season. And I can totally see how I may use this one in the summer. What I lack at the moment is the motivation to really go through these cards. And since there are 3 keywords for each, exactly like the Seashell Oracle, you know, it's exactly the same, you know, that one also has a title and then the keywords. So this is the reason why I'm saying maybe when I finish working with the Seashell Oracle, and I never finish working with that one because it's a huge favorite, I keep using it all year round, even though it's the seashell, so it's not just a summer deck for me. I think I may pick up this one and also journal about it. This is not going anywhere, you know. I know this is, I really like this deck. I know also this is a deck that would inspire me to journal a lot. I have just bought also a lot of stickers with shells and also art-based stickers. So I know that, you know, this will be great to journal with. And actually, I may have just found a way to work with this one. I haven't done like specific readings. I would like to. I will, you know, find out a specific practice for this deck. My idea was to use it for the Venus deep dive, as I was saying, but we will see, you know. I think this may have multiple purposes and multiple ways I can use it. And this is actually the same card that is my favorite in the Venus Morningstar. I mean, the same painting I just shown before. So this is not going anywhere. I love the gilding, this matte blue gilding. Light blue is so lovely. And these cards are so, I don't know, velvety. It's a joy to look at and to touch. So this is not going anywhere. It's just a matter of, you know, I haven't reached for this one since I got it, basically. I did just a couple of readings with it. I went through it very quickly and the guidebook, and then I'm just not reaching for it. But I know this is a situation where I know his time will come. Now it may be the time to talk about what I think is my watercolor issue. This is a deck that is independent, clearly, and not very well known. I will show it in a moment. First watercolor issue is the Linestrider or Linestrider. I don't know exactly how to pronounce this. This cardstock is one I really hate. So don't get me wrong, I really wanted this is mass market, you know. I really wanted this deck a few years ago. I really wanted it, but I didn't buy it. I was buying many other mass market decks and I really wanted it, but never really got it for some reason. I thought it was beautiful. I felt very drawn to it. And when I finally got it a few months ago, I think it was last year, I got it. I read with it. I used it for clients too, but then I couldn't really, I don't know, I didn't really bond with it and I didn't reach for it anymore. So I didn't feel the pull I felt in the first place, and the pull that I thought I felt many years ago when I wanted it. And there is one specific card why I wanted this deck, and it's, sorry for the glare, it's the Three of Wands. I really like the depiction here of the deer, and one is moving towards what looks like in this Three of Wands like a portal here, and the other is almost like looking back, but it's ready to go too. This is not maybe the typical, you know, interpretation for the Three of Wands, but I've always loved how this card is depicted. And let me also tell you one thing, I don't really love to have like these circles in some cards with the images inside, and I don't love the cardstock. It's very glossy and the cards stick together. If it had, you know, a totally different cardstock, if it was linen, for example, it would be a totally different experience for me. But I know that part of the issue here is the cardstock, and I don't have also any problem with negative space. I really like it in some decks, but here, I don't know, the cards are so small, and I think also the art is gorgeous, you know, but it's so detailed that I think this size is, in my opinion, not really appropriate. It's not doing, you know, this artwork any favor, just in my opinion. So it's not an issue with the artwork, because as I was saying, I really appreciate it. I think the issue is more material, is more the support, is about the cardstock, the experience, you know, how I feel the cards in my hands, and the size. Continuing with my watercolor issue, what I call it at this point, this is the Fallen card deck tarot. So, oh, these cards are glossy too. This is an indie. I follow the creator on Instagram for this one, actually, because I really love the art. She's called Jenny McLaughlin. So if you look for her account, you know, you can find all the art she creates. It's amazing. I mean, this is watercolor again. I think I may feature this deck if I decide to film that video in my weirdest decks, because this is weird, right? It's so peculiar. This is not for everyone. I know. And even though I love the art and I appreciate the artist, this may not be for me either. I've been trying for some time to sell this deck. I see people using it on Instagram and posting also readings done with this one. There is no guidebook, or maybe there is, I don't remember now. I would have to check. I did readings with it, you know, and this read for me is quite shadowy, so it tends to highlight the shadow, what lies beneath a situation or a feeling or something that you are doing or experiencing. I think this may be a great spooky deck. Maybe again, this is a deck that just waits for a season. But since I got this deck, I read with it when I got it, and then I tried to use it during, the spooky season, but I read with it just once. I love this Hierophant though. There is a TV screen in this card indicating maybe the power that also media, this is just how I read it, have over us, when we rely too much on what, the messages that come through this type of media. I don't know. This is a card I got, and it was very significant for me at that time. Again, I love this deck, but I don't feel a deep bond with it. I appreciate the art. I appreciate the artist. I just don't reach for this one. I may keep it just for collection purposes, but after a while, even decks that I think maybe just for collection overwhelm me after some time. I don't know. I am one of those people, and I don't know if it's the same for you. I get overwhelmed when I have many decks around and they just fill the space, but they don't have a purpose for me. I don't consider myself a collector, really. I just collect decks that I like. So I am not collecting decks because I want to have a collection of decks I don't use. I collect the decks I feel a bond with or I feel drawn to, and then I bond with them. And when it doesn't happen, I usually don't keep them. So I know that it's different for anyone. There are just a few decks I think I may keep for collection purposes. So maybe they have a value and I may maybe sell them in the future, maybe a decade from now or something like this. This is a very interesting deck, very, very unique, very quirky. And I'm keeping this for this reason. It's just so interesting to notice that both this one and the Lioness Rider, or the previous one I shown, both have this use of watercolor. The art is totally different. I wanted for such a long time also, for example, the Luminous Void, the Tarot. I don't know if you know that one. I'm quite sure I want to get that one because it's been on my wish list forever, for years, I love the Luminous Void art. It's quirky. It may be very similar to this one. I actually fear that I may not bond with that one either, but I know there is a difference, that this was very an impulsive buy, because this was the only copy available on the website where I bought it, and I felt called to this deck immediately for some reason, and then I didn't use it, So very strange experience, but it happens, Not frequently for me, but it can happen. Part of me, fears that by getting the Luminous Void, that is also a deck, the artwork is watercolor, I may have, and quirky, I may have the same experience. I don't know, I may have also to research a little bit into the Luminous Void. I don't know how it reads. When I compare these two decks, actually it's so curious because they have a very similar, almost the same cardstock, I would say. Maybe this one is slightly thicker. You can see it's a very chunky deck. These are the backs, by the way. Very spooky. This screams a spooky season. There is something lovely and at the same time so quirky about it. But I can see why I love it. It's because it's quirky. We love a quirky deck. Finally, let me talk about these two. The Wandering Moon Tarot and the Wandering Soul Oracle, actually. I'm using a lot from the same series, the Wandering Moon Tarot Cosmic Pink Pocket Edition. This is exactly the same deck, or more or less the same. This is the mini and this is the standard version. I'm using this one a lot. This one travels with me. I use it a lot also at home because even here when I am sitting at my desk, I may not have so much room, for larger spreads, or when I pull a lot of cards, and I use this one also at home. So this one gets a lot of use. This style of this one is minimal. So again, it's not for everyone. Look how beautiful holograph edges. It's available on Etsy. I bought this standard version because I thought, since I was using the mini so much, that maybe I could use this one too. Actually, I haven't used it since I got it. The guidebook is a little bit chunkier than the little white book of the mini version. And this is also something I wanted. I mean, you don't have to pay, 40, 50, 60 bucks just to have a chunkier guidebook, especially for a deck that follows the Rider-Waite system so closely. But as you can see, it's a little bit different. And actually, this chunkier guidebook explains also a little bit more about the artwork choice. And it's something I really like. Something, for example, the Wildlands lacks. This deck has. So, for example, the tower artwork, and it really goes into the minimal artwork. It is interesting also because not only the artwork is peculiar, and while the cards follow this tarot deck, follows the Rider-Waite system. As you can see, for example, we have crystals for the wands, we have moons for the cups. And so we have many changes, and also the suits have been renamed, and it's interesting also to notice what the hands are doing in this deck. So it may seem like a very simple deck. Actually, I think just by exploring the positioning of the hands, because there are a lot of hands, and we can pick up on the meaning. I think it's a very smart deck. I'm not a fan of skulls either, but I don't know, in this deck it doesn't bother me. I get the meaning. Maybe I prefer skulls when they are like in paintings, classical paintings, and not when they are modern skulls. Also, hearts in this deck are quite realistic. I really love, I don't know if I can find the lovers. Yes, it's two hearts connected. I really love this card. It's really significant also for when you read with it, I'm hesitant to let this one go, even though I'm not reaching for it, because I think I may do some different work with this standard version. It doesn't encourage me really to keep this, with me when I travel. I can craft some sort of practice around it, especially because it is quite unique, and delve a little bit deeper into the hands and so on. I really read with also this mini one, very intuitively. I've never read the guidebook. It's just a Rider-Waite for me. I know the system, so I didn't really use the guidebook. But since this one dives deeper into the artwork, I may just maybe journal a little bit, or yes, dive deeper into the representation, into how the meanings are represented in these cards, the directions, the position of hands, and there are just a few figures. But on the other hand, I think I know the system, why I should, do work with this one. I have many other decks I want to work with, and many of them are in my top 11 favorites right now. There are many other decks that are coming and I intend to work with, and now I'm thinking maybe I may not sell this one and keep it, also because I like it. It feels good in the hands. The only thing, also another issue with this deck, is the smell. I think this is also something that holds me back from picking this up. I may just have to smudge it a little bit, finding a way to change the smell of the cards, just because I think it's the printing, I think it may be the ink, maybe also the support, the type of cardstock. I don't know, there is something that smells. Smells of almost plastic, so it's not really a smell that encourages me to reach for the deck. I thought about the importance of the smell in my Tarot for the Senses VR to Green Eye Tarot. One deck that really smells good for me is the Lioness Oracle Tarot. If this deck maybe had that smell, so the smell is certainly an issue. I have found another issue in this deck. That's why also I don't reach for it. If this deck had the same smell of the Lioness Oracle Tarot, I think I may reach for this deck more. Now, same or almost the same issue I have with the Wandering Soul Oracle. So the smell is the same. I don't like the smell. Again, these decks smell a little bit of plastic. It's an issue I don't have with the mini version. The issue here with the Oracle, and I will show it in a moment, apart from this font, I am having some difficulties. It's not so pleasant to read, but the cards also here, are not in alphabetical order. It's an issue of the little white book, but I couldn't go past that. What is really bothering me about this one is that it talks a lot, and let me find here, for example, it talks a lot about souls being incarnated on Earth and being part of the same family. We know, right? All that stuff. I just don't really resonate with it, and I don't know what to do with it when I have an oracle that talks about that. And also, Here it talks, for example, of, let me pick randomly some sentences. It talks about being connected to realms and dimensions unseen by our physical sight. You are able to constantly receive information and universal guidance, those downloads, These are cosmic downloads being sent to us by other souls, spirits, and beings. These entities, I didn't really want to think about entities, are an integral part of forming and the development of your spiritual identity. And all those things. It talks about upgrades and downloads and soul families. And I know, but I don't know what to do with this one. I mean, stop talking about that. And so I tried to read with this one, but it's better to read with it intuitively. And the problem is, I really like to have a good guidebook for an oracle. Just in case, I don't want to work intuitively with it right away. So you can see this is quite an easy read, so it doesn't really, you can read with it intuitively. It's not really a problem. So it has quite, interesting keywords, and the minimalistic artwork, I think, works, in terms of conveying that message. The truth is, whether I want to use it intuitively or not, I don't reach for this one. The smell, again, is another issue. I really love the minimalistic artwork. I thought that the representation and the keywords were interesting. And I thought it would be cute to have the whole series of these decks. Actually, if I don't want to rehome this one, I have thought about another use for this one. Like, I have thought I may use it, for example, to give me prompts for using other tarot decks. For example, this may be a 3-card spread, like future predictions, and I may pull a tarot card, Strength, and the Messenger. So I may interpret it as maybe what is awaiting me next, in the near future. What is my strength at the moment, or maybe a move I need to make, and then what is the message for me. So I think this would work wonderfully as a prompt deck, maybe not an oracle deck. So I may try and use this one as a deck to give me prompts for readings, maybe 3-card readings or even single pull readings. So to give me ideas, in that sense. Sometimes I struggle also to find also what I want to read about today. So I may just pull these cards and lay out, the cards. I may have found a purpose for it. I will let you know how it goes. And I already know I have some new tarot decks. I want to try to use these cards as prompts. Even here, it would be nice, to know where I am experiencing a rebirth. What is my luck? Maybe where I'm lacking at the moment and what I need to unblock. You see, this is perfect for prompts. I mean, every oracle, I think, may be used like this, but how many oracles we have, we tend to use like this, right? So only the ones we don't use as oracles, maybe. So, I don't know. The guidebook works for me sometimes, and I find some things that maybe resonate with me in the moment, but most of them don't. So this may be the new use for this deck. Also here, ancient records. I can read it as my past, maybe see beyond, what I need to see beyond, and what's in the Pandora's box. This is perfect, I think the spreads with this one would be so interesting. So I will let you know how it goes. And thank you so much for being with me, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment, and let me know what you think. Let me know if you have decks you struggle to bond with and why, or if you have some of these decks, how you work with it. I'd like to hear about your experience. Don't forget, for those interested, I offer also personal readings every day on my website, esthetitao.com, so feel free to check it out. I hope to see you soon in the next video. Thank you again. Bye bye.